This is the Louie T Network.
Who else could it be? Me, your me, Louie T. Welcome to lockdown coverage, week number 6 in the National Football League. Los Angeles Chargers on the road taking on the Oakland Raiders. AFC West family business. If these two teams say they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's family business. And this was some underwhelming family business, to say the least. Not the most aesthetically pleasing game played by either team involved in this game. Sometimes family business can get a little messy, can get a little sloppy at times. Again, that's why it's family business, and teams know each other extremely well, so it's hard to execute the things that you normally do against teams that are strangers. So this was a game featuring a ton of punts, lack of execution on third downs, not a lot of points. The punters were the stars of this game, especially Marquette King. He was outstanding for the Raiders in this game. And sadly enough for the Raiders, the game literally came down to a bad snap by their long snapper, John Kondo, and a missed extra point by their field goal kicker, Tavecchio. And just like that, you leave the door slightly ajar. Slightly ajar for good old Philly Rivers. And finally, they were on the right side of a close game, and they got it done. And hats off to the Chargers for winning 2 straight after dropping their first 4 of the season. And hats off to them again for winning a close game this time and not finding a way to lose it. I know a lot of Chargers fans were at home saying, he's going to miss this kick, isn't he? Isn't he? He's going to miss this kick, and we're going to lose another close game, and we're going to reinvent new ways to lose close games. No, not this time. And the irony was he missed his first kick of the game. And as we all know, this was his first kick back with the Chargers. Nick Novak back with the Chargers for his second stint. And he missed his first kick of the game. And you're saying to yourself, oh, no, here we go again. God damn it. We got another bum kicker. And wouldn't you know it, it would come down to a Nick Novak field goal. And this time, they made sure they did everything right. They centered the football. They gave it to him right where he wanted it. And he split the uprights, and the Chargers win their second game in a row. 17-16. Again, it wasn't pretty, but it doesn't need to be. It just needs to be gritty and a dub. And at the end of the day, the Chargers will tell you, just the sheer exuberance and excitement on the face of Philip Rivers after this game says it all. Okay, he was jumping up and down, and he was grinning ear to ear. He was happy to finally be on the right side of one of these heartbreaking finishes. And for the Chargers, like I said, this is a streaky team. And I can't tell you what's the difference between when Mike McCoy was the head coach and with their new head coach now. I can't tell you the difference. I'm pretty sure Chargers fans will tell you what the difference is. Looks like the same damn team to me. Start the season off slow as hell, then you run off, they're probably going to win 4 out of their next 5 or, 4 out of their next 6. I don't know if they'll ever make it back to 500, which was the case last year. They just kept coming close. They'd get within a game, and then they finally had the damn break, and they lost like 4 or 5 straight late in the season. But I can't tell you the difference between the two teams. They look the same to me. They still lose games close. And they still play it close to the vest. I got to rely on Chargers fans for that, but I can't tell you the difference. For the Raiders, it's 4 straight losses after starting the season 2-0, and this offense looks nothing like the offense that we thought we were going to get when the season started. And now you're seeing a team that I think is lacking the thing that you need most in this league to win, and that's confidence. I don't see a confident football team out there. As a matter of fact, the defense actually looks more confident than the offense, which is crazy because this offense was carrying this team with Derek Carr at the helm for the last 2 years. And now all of a sudden it's a role reversal and the offense can't get out of its own way, yet the defense is giving them opportunities to win games. I mean, you go back to the Denver game a few weeks ago, and the defense gave them every opportunity to win that football game, and they just couldn't get it done. Last week at home versus Baltimore, the defense was not good. They weren't good. I'm not, mix no words. The defense was pretty bad last week, but you come back this week, and the defense did everything in their power except that final drive, which we'll talk about when we break this game down. But first, if you haven't already done so, what are you waiting on? Subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content in 2017 and beyond. We're changing the game over here. I want you to help us do that by simply hitting the subscribe button and becoming a member of the Louie T Network. I've got a number of social media platforms that you can follow me on, which will keep you in tune and in sync with what's going on here on the Louie T Network. There's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's Facebook. All of that is in the description below this video and all of my videos. Also, you can donate to this channel using one of those two methods, either Patreon or PayPal. Those are the links in front of you. Those links can be found down below in the description as well. So check those out. Make yourself familiar with those. If you can donate, please do. We're trying to further this channel and fast track that with your help. And donations are the best way, the most efficient way to do so. And so if you can give, please do. If you can't, just continue to support the channel, like the videos, share them, and continue to watch and support the movement that is the Louie T Network. That being said, like I said at the top of the show, I can't tell the difference between this Anthony Lynn coached team and the team that was coached by Mike McCoy last year or for the last 3 or 4 years for that matter. I'm pretty sure Chargers fans will make sure they tell me the difference, but I don't see the difference. I see the same exact team, don't know how to win at the end of ball games, starting seasons off slow, streaky as hell, lose 4, win 3 out of the next 5. That's what this team seems like. Another close game that they could have easily have lost. Raiders made a ton of mistakes in this game, gave them every opportunity to steal this game, and they actually took advantage at the end. But let's talk about this Chargers football team, and we start with the offense. It wasn't a great offensive performance. Phillip Rivers, he didn't turn it over. I mean, I guess that's a good thing, right? Normally there's at least one INT somewhere in there for Phillip Rivers, not in this game. And so maybe that was the difference between you winning and losing this football game. Gordon continues to be your most influential player on your football team offensively. He scored both of your touchdowns in this football game, 1 receiving, 1 rushing. He was solid in this game. He got the tough yards, especially on that final drive where you needed to burn the clock and not give the Raiders back to football with a chance to go back and take the lead. He was outstanding on that final drive, churning out yards, getting big first down after big first down, and extending that drive all the way down the field. That was a magnificent drive by the Chargers. By far and away, their most impressive drive of the day was the one when they needed it the most. They started that drive out on like their own 2-yard line or so, 5 or somewhere in there. And Phillip Rivers with a great pass to Hunter Henry, who had 2 big catches on that drive to get them from the shadow of their own goalpost all the way into Raiders territory. Next thing you know, the ground game took over, and that's when you started to see Melvin Good and the third start to do what it is he does best, which is get tough yards. And next thing you know, Raiders had no more timeouts. The Chargers were in control of the clock and the outcome of the game. All it was going to take was a Nick Novak field goal to ice this game and give the Chargers the win 17-16. And so I thought that was their most impressive drive of the day. Outside of that, I thought this was an offense that struggled on third downs all day long. Phillip Rivers, for some strange reason, thought that he could throw the football to Keenan Allen underneath and have him run for the adequate yards for the first down. And the Raiders were playing at the sticks, and they were rallying up, and they were making tackles. And they were really bad on third downs throughout the course of the day. They went for it on the fourth down. They didn't get that either. This Chargers team was stagnant offensively for the vast majority of this football game. But like I said, when they had to have it, they got it. And I think the biggest key was they didn't turn it over. Look, if you don't turn it over, you play quality defense, you can run the football, you got a chance to win on the road. The Chargers did all of those things in this game. They won the turnover battle. They ran the football effectively. Would you have liked to have run for 4 yards a pop? Yeah, that would have been great. But they consistently kept the ball on the ground and stayed balanced. They didn't ask Phillip Rivers to throw the football 45 times, which is what they normally do. They actually scaled it back a little bit, albeit only 36 times, but still, it could have easily been one of those 45 attempt days for Phillip Rivers, and that probably would have netted them an interception somewhere in there. But instead, it was a 36 attempt day. You gave it to Gordon 25 times. You stayed relatively balanced. You didn't turn it over. You made plays when the plays needed to be made in this game, including a fourth quarter touchdown that gave you the lead temporarily. Raiders did come back, take that lead from you. But again, when you got the football back late in the ball game and had to have a drive to give you a chance to kick a game-winning field goal, you took full advantage and made the plays when you had to have them. And so you did enough to win this game. It was not pretty. And most likely against most of the league, this wouldn't have been a good enough effort to get it done. But against a struggling Raiders team that is lacking confidence, the one thing that you have to have in this league to win, you have to expect to win. This Raiders team, they don't look confident. They don't look like a team that expects to win right now. Chargers took full advantage of that, and they go in there and they still won 17-16. And hats off to this offense for not turning it over, for putting together arguably their best drive of the day when they had to have it. And even more impressive was melting the clock, not giving the Raiders even a shot at having the football back to get into field goal range, but rather picking up that last crucial 3rd and 3 on the ground, forcing the Raiders to call all their timeouts, and then on that 3rd and 3, Melvin Gordon picking up about 7 and putting them in a position to take 2 knees, center the football, call a timeout with 3 seconds left, and win this football game. That was impressive from a Chargers team that for some strange reason over the last 3 years or so hasn't been able to find ways to execute down the stretch late in ball games and make kicks to win. They did everything in this game correctly, and they walked away with the W. You go to the defense in this game, and I thought the defense was really good in this game. Much like the Raiders defensively getting off the field on third downs, this Chargers defense got off the field on third downs for the most part in this football game. Aside from a couple of big plays, one, the Crabtree touchdown, and the other, the run by Cordero Patterson, this defense pretty much was lights out all day long. They got to Derek Carr. They forced him to fumble. Boza was able to knock the football out of his hands. Luckily enough for the Raiders, Carr was able to get back on it. They forced 2 interceptions of Derek Carr. They were able to force the turnovers, force the issue defensively. They did give up some runs to Marshawn Lynch. He got his first 2 double-digit yard runs of the season, but still, the Raiders didn't do what you did in this game, which was stay committed to the run. They divvy up their carries a little differently than you do in Los Angeles, but nonetheless, I thought you did a really good job of not allowing the run game to kill you totally, even though if you total up the Cordero Patterson run, Lynch's 60-some-odd yards, and all the other yards that were gained by Richard and Richardson, you're probably looking at over 5 yards a carry. But it was chunk plays that got them their points. They didn't methodically drive the football down the field. You were able to force turnovers. You did a really good job of sticking to these receivers. And even when Amari Cooper tried to gain confidence, because he's another Raider right now lacking confidence, and he made some big catches in this game, every time it was called back by a penalty. So I thought this Chargers team did a really good job of just keeping the Raiders out of sync and not allowing the Raiders to get into any kind of offensive rhythm for the most part on the day, and giving themselves a chance because they did not have their fastball offensively. And this has not been a good Chargers defense this season yet. They did enough offensively, and they were outstanding defensively, which gave them an opportunity to win this football game. And so Special teams stood up finally at the end of the game and was accountable and did their job. A missed kick from Novak early on would have been a nice talking point had he not made this field goal or had not even gotten another opportunity to kick a field goal late in this game. Say the Chargers go 3 and out, pinned deep in their own territory, punt, and the Raiders run their 4-minute offense and burn the rest of the clock. You're looking at that missed field goal at the beginning of the game and saying, damn it, we got a new kicker, but it's the same old story. But he got a chance to redeem himself, was able to do so, and that's huge as the Chargers come away 17-16 winners. You go to the Raiders side of things, and I want to start with the offense because the assumption that I made was Derek Carr back in the saddle. He's going to come back, guns a-blazing. They're going to go out. This is not a good Chargers defense. They're going to go out. They're going to put up 28 points, and they're going to win this football game. That was the thought process in my mind, that they were going to score 24 plus. The number in my mind was 28. They're going to somehow get to 28, and it just never came to fruition in this game. Carr on the second play of the game threw an interception, and to me that was a precursor of things to come. He would later on throw another INT in this game and did fumble. Like I said, was able to get on top of that fumble to save the possession, but they struggled on third downs throughout the course of this game. They struggled with penalties. Every time Amari Cooper made a big play, and that's a guy that needs some confidence right now. It's the Crabtree show. I think he being Derek Carr, even trusts Seth Roberts more so than Amari Cooper right now. And they made a conscious effort to try to get Cooper the football in this game and give him some confidence, and he needed that. And even the ones that didn't count, he still caught them. The first catch that he had on the slant was not a catch. And had the Chargers cared enough to challenge that, that was incomplete. He's struggling with his confidence. But later on in the game, they threw him a hitch. Even though it went nowhere, he needed to catch that football. He did. And then you saw him make some big catches. He actually climbed the ladder and went and got one, called back. Had a catch by the sidelines that was big, called back. And so there were a number of plays throughout the course of the game that you're starting to see him get back into the swing of things. They need him. That's part of the reason why this offense is struggling as bad as it is. They don't have the continuity nor the confidence that this offense had all of last year. You couldn't stop this offense. The only thing that could stop this offense was themselves last season. This year, this is an offense that is struggling with confidence, and you don't see the same rhythm. You don't see the same tempo. You don't see the same willingness to take risk like you saw last season with this offense. And so they're struggling right now. And they struggled in this game. And really, to be honest with you, the star of the game was Marquette King, because it was his punting that was pinning the Chargers deep and giving them poor field position, flipping the field position all game long. He did his part, even up until the last punt, which pinned the Chargers deep, but they were able to move the football down the field. He had even pinned them yet again. Great coverage by the kick coverage unit of the Raiders. Offensively, they just didn't have their fastball again today. And they haven't had it over the last month, and that's why they've dropped 4 straight games. The offense isn't playing at a high enough level for this team to overcome the other deficiencies of this football team. And for the first time in a long time, you had a breakdown on special teams with the field goal kicking unit, and that cost you this ball game. And we'll get to that in a second, but I want to talk about this Raiders defense first, and how this Raiders defense gave them an opportunity in this game. The Raiders, this might have been the best defensive showing of the season by the Raiders. You could argue that Denver game is right up there with this one, in a game where the defense did everything they could to give the Raiders offense an opportunity to snap out of their funk and get a win, and they just refused to do so. Carr goes down, E.J. Manuel comes in, and he couldn't get it done either. This is right up there with that game. Those were the 2 standout defensive performances this season. And you could throw the Titans game in there if you like. Each of those games, you gave up 16 points. This game, you gave up 17. This defense has actually been better than the offense for the vast majority of the season. Outside of last week against Baltimore, which you were down both of your corners, this defense has actually been much better. Of course, the Redskins game was an aberration. You just throw that one out the window and move on. But the Jets game, the Titans game, the Broncos game, this game, the defense to me has been the catalyst for this team having any type of success this season. The defense has actually been giving this team a chance. And they gave them another shot tonight or yesterday. And this Raiders offense and even the special teams to a degree simply did not hold up their end of the bargain. The defense, they gave it a run. Even though Melvin Gordon had 2 touchdowns and ran for 83 yards, he worked for those 83 yards. That came on 25 carries. He didn't have any big runs. He didn't average 4 yards a pop. They did a really good job of bottling him up. And as much credit as I want to give to this Raiders defense for as well as they played in this game and gave the opportunity to the offense to win this game, they could have won the game themselves. All they needed was one stop. That's it. Chargers pinned deep in their own territory, inside their own 5-yard line. They got to go the length of the field to get in the chip shot field goal range because they don't trust their field goal kicker, Nick Novak. And so they want to get as close as they humanly possibly can to make sure that this field goal goes in. And you let them drive the length of the field. You leave Hunter Henry alone twice. He beats Carl Joseph on the first corner route. And he severely underplayed that one. Hunter Henry able to escape and get a huge chunk there to get him out of the shadow of their own end zone. And then you give up another corner route to Hunter Henry to get them into Raiders territory. And then you allow Melvin Gordon to take over the game. And even with all of that said, you could have forced the Chargers to kick a long field goal, not be able to put the football and center it where they wanted to. And you could have had the Chargers kick that field goal with about 50 seconds left, which would have given you an opportunity to get the football back. No timeouts, but all you would have needed was a field goal. I like my chances with the 4-car with an opportunity to at least get us into field goal range for Tavecchio. Instead, you allow them to convert 3rd and 3, ice the rest of the clock, take a couple of knees, center the football in the middle of the football field, and give Nick Novak the easy chip shot field goal attempt that he was looking for. When the team needed you the most, this Raiders defense did what it customarily does. It folded up like a lawn chair in the dead heat of the summer. And that's disheartening. It's frustrating for as well as this Raiders defense played. They needed one stop to preserve a 16-14 lead, and they couldn't get it. Special teams, like I said, this is a really good special teams unit. John Kondo is a really good long snapper. One got away from him, the most important one got away from him, and you missed the extra point. Great job by your punter, King, to get the football down. Laces out. I mean, it was down, it was out, but the rhythm of the play had been disturbed, and Tavecchio misses the extra point, and again, that's a tough way to lose a game, missing an extra point and having a team come down. And I thought the same thing was going to happen to my Redskins. We missed an extra point, but we were up 9 with the game seemingly over, but you never want to leave that door slightly ajar. It almost came back to haunt the Redskins. It did come back to haunt the Oakland Raiders, unfortunately, as they lose this game at home. Had an opportunity, a golden opportunity, even with the struggles of 3 straight losses, to get back to 500 on the season at 3-3, and you squander that opportunity, lose your 4th straight, and now you and the Chargers are both tied at 2-4 at the bottom of the AFC West division as the Chargers win their 2nd straight game after starting 0-4, 17-16 on the road in Oakland. Let's get to any comments that may be out there. Craig Smith says, the torch is being passed to MG3. This is his team now, and they go as he does. First 4 games, he was Casperish. Last 2, he has been the focal point of the offense. The result, 2 back-to-back W's. He also says, MG3 is quietly becoming Mr. All-Purpose. Dude might mess around and get that ever-elusive 1K rushing, 1K receiving season. I don't think he's going to make it to 1,000 yards receiving. I think he's going to be somewhere in that 800 range when it's all said and done. But I've always known him to be an all-purpose threat out of the backfield. He's always been a guy that Phillip Rivers has felt comfortable checking it down to out of the backfield. He does a great job of making himself available as a check down, getting into the route quickly to make himself eligible to catch the football. And Rivers has always trusted him as a guy that he can dump it to underneath, under the sticks, and have him get yards after the catch. And he, like you said, quietly, he's becoming one of the better all-purpose backs. in all of the league. We'll see what happens. Carlos Garcia says it feels good to finally get some wins. I bet it does. Winning is such a great feeling, and it gives you confidence. And you can see that this Chargers team is slowly gaining confidence. Now you have an opportunity next week, if I'm not mistaken. You have to, I think you're home next week versus the Broncos. I think you stay in the division against the Broncos, a team that is struggling right now. And if you want your way back into this division, the best way to do it is to start picking off divisional foes. You get one here, you knock them off. You got an opportunity to do it again next week at home. Hopefully it's actually a home crowd and not the Denver Broncos coming in and taking over your stadium. But in any event, 2 straight wins gives this team the confidence and the ammunition necessary to maybe go out and make it 3 straight and hand the Denver Broncos another loss and really start to see them struggle. So here's an opportunity for you to climb back into the thick of things in not only this division, but in the AFC, which is wide open. You never know. You can get hot and go on a win streak here. You could look up and say, wow, we're 5-4, and we're right there where we need to be to have a chance to make the postseason. But again, got to get back to 500 first. The only way you can do that is by stacking up 1 win at a time. That's 2 in a row. Next team on the docket, the Denver Broncos at home for the Chargers. For the Raiders, quick turnaround. Don't have a lot of time to dwell on this loss. You got the Chiefs on Thursday Night Football in your building. You got to find a way to snap this losing streak. I saw a team that fought but just came up short. The Chiefs are foaming at the mouth. They just lost their first game of the season. They're looking to take out their frustration on someone. Hopefully you're able to not be that team that gives it up to the Chiefs as they're looking to avenge their first loss of the season. Should be some great family business come Thursday night and an age-old rivalry, Chiefs and Raiders. It's going to do it for your man Louie T on lockdown coverage for week number 6. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on the Louie T Network. Raiders don't get it done. 17-16 Chargers do win their second straight, go to 2-4 in the season. Raiders lose their 4th straight. They drop to 2-4 in the season. We'll see how this thing shakes out. Both of these teams playing divisional foes. All 4 teams in the AFC West conducting family business in week number 7. I'll see you a little bit later on for Monday Night Football overtime. Come back and join me. I'll see you in a bit. Have a good one.